to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Frivolity Daily Brief Daily Show. I don't know what the hell to call this. Anyway, nice little market summary here. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like a Mercury retrograde right now. And computer's acting a little funny here today. So apologies if you happen to hear somebody barking in the background. Chris, turn that idiot down. Chris has to have the audio on where he is. And we're gonna muscle our way through this today. I don't think it's gonna be an extra long report. We have big fundamental drivers following the market close today. So I get the impression it's almost like a buy the rumor kind of event happening today, but we might actually get a pretty nasty reversal on the release of things like NVIDIA earnings. But nonetheless, we've been talking a little bit, I suppose, that seasonally through the middle of August, we were supposed to see some sort of turn back up in the market. I know guys like Larry Williams and stuff were kind of looking for that. I think the NASDAQ has been sort of booming higher lately, like NVIDIA and stuff working its way right back up top. And I noticed Google's starting to really rock and roll here. So, maybe we do see that kind of situation for NASDAQ. I don't know about the broader market. But breadth is, technically we are actually oversold on the fast. If we did get a turn back up here and we enjoyed a nice little 2-month rally here, that wouldn't be shocking. And when we sort of look at all the rags and stuff, I think it kind of makes sense. So, demonstrator our best practices. Took a gold short this morning because we ran up above ATR, and actually I've just been sitting in the short the whole morning. And then the euro close came in. You saw the market firming up, and I don't know whether I really want to be a buyer up top here of gold, but I could very easily get stopped out on my gold short shot. But I actually did take a shot this morning. In fact, I really wanted to take a shot on the crude oil. The crude oil chart, to me, I thought was setting up a really, really nice level. So we had, you can see here, we had crude at lower ATR and right into 2 fibs here, and also a horizontal support and resistance line. And then the exact opposite situation, you have the gold rallying up, and actually we did tag this ATR level. I drew this chart down before we actually got to that level. And then once we got up into this level, I was hunting shorts and I strapped one on, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And why? I think because, the fundamentals today, one of the big things is we have this BRICS summit that's theoretically happening down, I guess, in South Africa. And it's kind of funny, like the Russian guy can't even go. And what was really weird is the Russian Lavrov guy, he was a representative at that conference, and nobody even greeted him when he got off the airplane. It was really kind of comical. But actually, we were conjecturing what's happened to Winnie the Pooh. And he did emerge from the airplane. So I guess this whole BRICS thing is pretty damn important to China, and maybe they would like to really try and get this kind of thing off the ground. Frankly speaking, as a capitalist, I don't think it's got a hope in hell, but nonetheless, lots of bluster and hopes and wishes and stuff. And if you have, I suppose, a whole bunch of totalitarian dictatorships all agreeing, then what the hell? You could make the argument coming out of the Second World War. You had a huge chunk of the world that basically went to war with the West, right? The whole Cold War. Are they trying to sort of reestablish something like that? Maybe, the Warsaw Pact Suppose they won't be calling it the Warsaw Pact. They'll probably be calling it like the Beijing Pact or something like that. So there was that, and then this 2 day symposium in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, was getting going. I'm wondering whether there was a bit of like buy the rumor and then sell the news into that event. I don't know. But I did notice that the oh yeah, there you see I finally got blown out. Actually, did I? Maybe I haven't gotten stopped yet. Awfully close. Oh no, still one tick away, but I'll probably get blown out here. Wouldn't surprise me. The US dollar, and we've been kind of talking a little bit about this. I thought as for day trading purposes, them slamming it back down into this moving average, we might get a little bit of backfilling here, and the gold would come down from that ATR level, but doesn't look like it's happened. And if anything, this 2-bar railroad tracks pattern now has confirmed with this candle going through this low. So I do believe there's a bit of a top there that's finally coming in on the US dollar. And it's interesting how the bot objective for that US dollar index, though, is just a little bit higher here. So are they setting some sort of trap, and then we'll go wash the stops out and then break it? Who knows? So I guess just the point being that this precipitous fall in the US dollar index this morning, let that gold market rally up top. And actually, I mean, what's fascinating about the gold chart is that we're on one hell of a downward slide. And like all I wanted to do was just come in and take a fade trade up against this gap fill and stuff. But it looks like I'm actually interesting how they just won't stop me out. Maybe I am. I don't know. There you go. I finally got stopped. $30 loss on the day. Boo, hisses boo. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So one thing I did notice that actually jumped out at me, as we had sort of said to get the conversation going, probably best to show you it over here. Stock market very uppy, V uppy though, so I don't know whether that's really too sustainable. And you can see, of course, this bad boy here, he's got earnings after the bell. A lot of people are wondering whether this was, very typical late summer kind of market, illiquid market. Do they run this thing up, run all the weak stops, kind of like what you just saw in the gold market with me, and then they roll it over? And we are up on the day. And like I said, stock market is generally uppy. Just wondering whether maybe they're setting a little bit of a trap here, and NVIDIA's earnings are after the bell here. So you can see NVDA, this is the big bombshell that should hit the market following the close after the bell. So don't be surprised if you actually see the whole damn market roll over on some sort of negative event there. I mean, you never know. I mean, maybe they come out with half decent earnings and the damn thing marches higher here. I would say that on balance, Mr. Williams was just suggesting that, through the latter part of August, we should see the seasonality of the market turn back up. And I kind of have to agree with him on that note. So I suppose let's go through our regular routine here. What actually happened in the world today? First off, what are some of the sort of econs starting the day? Not a bad idea. Check in with Japan. You can see they were up about 0.5% on the day. So don't be surprised if you see the stock market up a good 0.5% or so. Heading into that earnings event this afternoon. I guess that's the screen here. And right now we have the S&Ps up about a little less than 1%. So interesting how we are coming up into 13 EMA resistance. So, kind of like what we said, do we really want to get too excited on the long side here heading into this NVDA event? I wouldn't be surprised actually if maybe you find that the market actually gaps higher on the news event, and then we have to roll back over because we're coming up against that 13 EMA. Having said that, I mean, this is a V bottom. This is a inverted empire. So really wouldn't have a problem if somebody said, well, Brian, I took a long off of that level there, and I'm shooting for like 2 to 1s off of there, which would probably take us back up into this resistance level. And if we even do things like 50% levels, yeah, you can see there is the 50% level. This was one of Hoag's weekly kickoff levels. And also too, you can see, look left, we've been talking a lot about that concept recently. Notice this key pivot high here. So that's probably your next resistance point. Notice that it's up against the 30 SMA. So got a bit of a fight that's going to happen here. And this is probably all around the NVDA event. Might even get a nice pullback, candle body lows for trade location. If we could dip back down against these lows, I would consider that a nice buying window. But, as it stands right now, just GAN, basic TA, we should always expect things like 38.2 to 50% bounces. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to work our way up into this 40.90 area. And so, like I said, the backdrop is relatively positive. It is the end of the summer. So, just remember that. It is interesting to see that the market is looking for higher data coming out of Canada. But we've talked lots about this recently. Canada's, it's a short, and, unfortunately, because so many baby boomers own their own homes, the people that are politicians, they don't want to be perceived as actually shitting on home prices, because then they're going to lose all the baby boomers' votes. So they're not going to let prices fall. So what they do is they print money like there's no tomorrow, and we all live in this hyperinflation world. Yes, house prices stay high. Baby boomers are happy. The party in power, they believe that they stay in power if they just get reelected, and they might. That's the way democracies work. Um, so it's weird. It's like Canada's a short, but it's not a short because prices are falling. It's a short because standard of livings are falling, and the price inflation is just absolutely killing the middle class here. Which is kind of a tragic end to this story, but I suppose that's the way it's got to go. So you can see the Canadian central bank raising rates, trying to deal with this inflation problem. It's starting to bite into the consumer's pocketbook, and that's a pretty big miss by Canada. Other econs that came out today, PMIs out of the States. We also had PMIs here out of Great Britain. A little bit softer than expectations. So, a reading below 50 theoretically implies contraction. So you can see European sort of proxies, Great Britain, kind of that's British Isles, all that, it's still relatively soft. Americans, again, that manufacturing PMI number below what the market was looking for and below 50. Services PMI would make sense, given that so many baby boomers in retirement now, and probably a huge portion of our economy is going to transition into services industries rather than manufacturing. So not a big surprise. Actually, services is technically still growing, albeit basically flatlining. The number, I suppose, that really jumps out at me today that's going to probably continue, and I wouldn't even be surprised if this is like a topic of sort of conversations in back rooms and things like the Jackson Symposium. New home sales still just incredibly strong, just a very, very strong number. No way in hell the Fed can even consider lowering interest rates in the face of that. This has been the hallmark. In fact, I thought it was surprising. I saw an article the other day, Warren Buffett, but I think it was like his minions. I don't think it was Buffett himself, but Berkshire Hathaway has to, I think they call it like the 13F filing or something like that. One of their biggest recent purchases was D.R. Horton, a big U.S. home builder. So, the smart money, the 1%, all that, they're still expecting housing industry to keep booming here. And all I hear about these people bitching and complaining is how it's not so much that um, well, it's just a lack of housing. They want, you just keep opening the immigration floodgates. And of course, the baby boomers, they're not really selling their houses. They spent their whole lives paying off these mortgages, and now they're going to basically be dying in their houses. Which I think a lot of people were actually expecting that as baby boomers got older, they were going to sell their homes, move down south, and all that kind of stuff, but it's not happening. Baby boomers just they're parked in their houses, and this might turn into a situation like Japan, where actually, like now, 10, 20 years later, all the Japanese people that were heading into retirement 20 years ago, they're all dying now. And now there's just a whole bunch of empty houses, and nobody will live in the houses because in Asia, if somebody dies in the house, that's a really bad omen. You don't want to move into a house where somebody died in it. So I have a funny feeling that's our fate here in North America is 10, 20 years from now. Of course, all of this silly housing boom, they're going to have built out all this new stock and stuff. And then, in 10, 15 years, we're going to be talking about how there's a glut of housing and too much, and all that. So anyway, um, I was actually really interested in getting in on the long side of gold, and it might have been one of the reasons why I did take a stab on this on the crude oil. Beg your pardon. Maybe a reason why I took the negative, the short trade on the gold, and it basically just went sideways here, and then just recently stopped me out. But the oil trade this morning, oh man, that was, and this is actually something that happens a lot with traders. And, I was even talking to another trader this morning, and he's saying, oh, God, I don't know whether this day trading world is for me. You got to just accept the fact that just sometimes markets don't set up. I had the most prettiest, and actually, it's too bad this indicator doesn't show. I had a whole bunch of bull divs all forming down here on this push to new lows. This was a ATR level. Had a nice little reversal. You can see in the MACD histogram. This is everything that I look for in the trade setup. You can see how pretty all the bottom was. And you can see I even was drawing my fibs, and I was ready, willing, and able to pull the trigger right in that reload zone if we got a dip down into there. And the market just never came back. So, Murphy's Law, right? Drive you crazy. This is a scenario where this would have been buying the move down. And usually what happens is if crude's heading down, then gold heads up. And then if crude starts moving back up, gold heads back down. So crude literally took back the entire overnight slide. But I wasn't able to get in on the long. So I took the gold on the opposite side, and it did nothing through all of that. Jerks. So that's a trader's life. That's the way it goes. So I was really interested in actually buying crude there. We were down over 2% this morning, right on the open. And I think that was the trade. But it's just couldn't get into the trade. That's the way it goes. It's trader's life. So, as it stands right now, you see I got stopped out on my short gold attempt here this morning. And right now I'm just sort of treading water. Be interesting to see what happens with this NVIDIA news after the bell later on today. And whether the stock market, we are now actually getting pretty late in the summer. So as we get closer and closer to Labor Day, we're probably going to find that sort of positions get squared up. They've got this Jackson Hole symposium going. So, most of the banksters are away now anyway. And I think the damage done on things like JP Morgan and stuff, it was done yesterday. And I wouldn't even be surprised if those banks actually start to firm up now a little bit. I guess the only other thing to maybe talk a little bit about with you guys is good old Bitcoin. As a tech proxy and the stock market feeling uppy, Geez, look at that pretty little W down there, right? Look at that. We even had confirmed bullish divergence down here. Hey, when that happens, like I didn't pay attention here right on that event, but oh well, hindsight's 2020. Wow, look at all the bear divs now forming here. So I actually could, and maybe this makes sense because you can see where the VWAP is. Maybe you're probably gonna have some people go, maybe we should take a little money off heading into this NVIDIA event. Maybe it's a little too far, too fast in one direction. So I might actually, if this M does fire, I might take one more short shot here today. I'll see how it goes. So the only other thing that I wanted to comment to you guys with, of course, is we do same sort of thing every morning. Take a look at good old Bitcoin. And I'm wondering whether maybe the corn has actually weathered the storm here. Futures markets, you can see we had 8 confirmed bullish divergences on this push to new lows. And you probably remember over the past week or so, I've been saying that the only, well, not week, past 3 or 4 days. The only thing that I was sort of missing here to try and think about a bottom coming in the market was where were the bullish divergences? So lo and behold, here they come. So that's good to see. I was feeling a little bit happier about that. And then as we were sort of watching the morning progress, again, maybe you took this trade, maybe you didn't. But what a great analogy of this, fractal tops, big fat round numbers. I mean, I suppose we didn't hit it, but it's probably like a psychological level of importance. Candle body lows, this is a really good example. Wicks and tails, all these guys down in here, trap bears were finally given release to get out of those trades. And they went in and bought them back. And, we're at a long-term trend line. Well, not long-term, but medium-term trend line. You can see how they're trying desperately to hold that. And they're also trying to get her back above this downtrend line. My sort of conjecture, if this was a big honking fractal, and of course this also sort of corresponds with Larry Williams, thinking middle to the end of August, there should be some sort of seasonal bottom in tech. So here comes the bottom. Yeah, okay, so there you go. So we were looking at this morning. 8 confirmed, or I guess this says 6 confirmed bullish divergence, 3 potential. And sure enough, away we go. So interesting conjecture here. And, a lot of people in the space were saying that the reason why that Bitcoin was dumping was because this guy is under pressure, good old Binance and CZ. I mean, I have no idea how any of that's going to play out. I don't think anybody really knows. Guy's made of Teflon, so we'll see what happens. It would make sense coming into these rally peaks, where trap bulls. You can see there's a bunch of trap bulls there that would like to get released, and they are getting released as we speak. 2.618 off of this bottom. If we maybe change it to like a lower time frame bottom, you can see how that was a pretty well-defined war zone. So I do like the idea that this 2.618 is probably going to be key resistance. And you can see that's where we're working our way up into now. So encouraging to see now once this event happens, and is this a testament that CZ has actually warded off some sort of attack against him? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of sideways consolidation, head and shoulders-y kind of thing. And then if you get a resolution through the neckline, then that's going to be a measured move, which takes us up top. And probably, at the very least 4.669s. But my hunch is probably just simple things like a revisit of reload zones. You can also see that's the original market structure fail level. So, yeah, right up in there. Good old Brian's favorite fib. You can kind of see how that lines up off the end nicely there. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call this bullish. This is just a dead cat bounce. It is breaking all this previous bearish structure. So a nice consolidation, and then a bullish resolution of the consolidation probably sets up that move up top. And really, more importantly, what is this? What's the backdrop here? Did the market try to go after CZ? And from what I understand, CZ or at least, the scuttlebutt is that he's selling Bitcoins to try and defend Binance and prevent some big margin call or something like that. And did he successfully ward off that attack? Based on what the Bitcoin chart itself looks like, it looks like whoever the major seller was that was selling has cooled their jets for now. So um, I don't know whether we actually get buy signals here outright on things like the daily charts. Still like to think that this is kind of a narrow sideways channel here that's been working away. FUs to the upside, FUs to the downside. I'd like to see like a W come in here, and I'm a little concerned that that 1.618 still hasn't been traded to yet. So could we get like a counter trend rally back into moving average resistance and then a rollover to go and tag that 1.618, kind of like what you see here. I have this sort of slightly drawn sort of prediction line. Do we get something along these lines here over the next few weeks? In the short term, I do like that counter trend rally back into resistance. That makes sense to me. And also too, we could probably do things like what's a 38.2 off of that range. And that would be our natural stopping point. Yep, that's right up in that area. So we got 13 EMA, 200 SMA, 30 SMA, 38.2, the bottom of value, and actually, ironically enough, the original ABCD harmonic level. So I'd be willing to set my watch to 27,000 and change as a near-term price objective on the exhaustion of whatever this dead cat bounce move is. Altcoins, didn't really see anything dramatic this morning. The only sort of big moves, it looks to me like these are just dead cat bounces after a precipitous fall back into support. So that's pretty much what's supposed to happen. Didn't really see anything else. Like I said, I think the primary sort of news, altcoin wise, is all around this, BNB. What's going to happen there? We're going to get together with the Coinigy people, Joe, and actually, we got feedback from the owners of Coinigy now. I think the company's called Lightspeed, and actually, the CEO absolutely loved our broadcast, so that was a good sign. We'll do another one of those shows this evening. So we'll go into lots of crypto through that. Again, I'm not really seeing anything like, oh my God, did you see that kind of thing? If anything, just late summer, lazy. Is Bitcoin going to try and find some sort of footing here to get ready to sort of join the rest of the tech market in some sort of late August, early September dead cat bounce counter trend rally? Look at that US dollar, just keeps coming off here. Remarkable. So there's your market. There goes the corn. Look at that, crypto's all nice and happy here. Total market cap looks pretty good. So certainly nothing to complain about there. And actually interesting to see. We had a really interesting conversation in our SOF club last night with regard to the bond market. It sure does look like the long end of the bond market is turning. That's probably going to help the stock market because they're all so worried about interest rates. And probably the one image that kind of stands out at me that probably we should all be paying attention to is ZB1 exclamation mark. Remember Hugh Hendry, he was uber bullish of bonds. I didn't really like gold because he thought just too many other people were interested in gold right now. But he's very interested in bonds. And we did David O as part of our SOF club group on Tuesdays, and he's a real big fan of megaphones and inverted head and shoulders and all that. And so we actually painted this inverted head and shoulders, and lo and behold, look at what just happened here. So I don't know whether we talked about this in the free broadcast. I think I talked about this in the after party. But I get the distinct impression we just hit a major pivot level there on the bond market. Now, we've rallied back into resistance, whether it be something like horizontal support and resistance, right? That wick right there. But also too, this 13 EMA, that should act as resistance. I think I was showing you 13 EMA on something else earlier, stock market. So I wouldn't be surprised if this bounce off of this bottom of the megaphone is probably going to run into a bit of exhaustion. You can still see there are lots of gaps to the upside to be filled in. So this thing might work its way higher here over time. That really jumped out at me. I don't think we're going to do it today. Mind you, let's see, how do we want to do this? I think we're going to, we'll leave the video broadcast at that. And of late, we've actually put the daily brief after party for Wednesdays on hold because we've got the Coinigy show tonight. So, if you want to come talk markets and charts and stuff, feel free to tune into that. That'll be at, I guess, 5 o'clock Pacific time. 8 o'clock Eastern, probably, I guess, around midnight over there in Europe and Africa. Sorry, Eddie. So I think I'll probably just leave the conversation at that today. I think probably the story du jour is the way this US dollar is coming off in earnest. You can see the Japanese yen is really rocking here. In fact, all of the currencies are all rocking against the US dollar. So that's quite interesting. The start of that BRICS summit. I suppose maybe this is their great time to shine, whether they can actually pull off this anti-US dollar. But I think what's going to end up happening here is this is going to turn into like another Warsaw Pact kind of thing, and it's going to be us versus them, and the banksters and the Rothschilds. They sure play dirty, so I wouldn't. I mean, who knows what the hell's going to happen in China, but anyway, we'll see. Okay, I think that's my summary for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, if you have a chance, come check out the Coinigy show tonight. And I think we'll probably leave it at that. I just don't know whether we're going to do an after party here today or whether Chris and I are going to go off and do some work together, because I know Chris is having a bit of computer problems. So anyway, we'll leave the broadcast at that, and let's just plan that we'll get together for the Coinigy show this evening. Enjoy the Bitcoin rally and the crypto rally as it is happening right in front of our eyes. Eddie's even got some altcoins that he's interested in. I suppose as a nice teaser, we'll leave you off with Eddie idea du jour, VITE. No idea the fundamentals on this. Well, I suppose if you want to take a long shot, you've got a pretty well-defined little risk window in there, so you can keep it pretty well-defined. I don't know whether I would actually be calling bottoms on a lot of this kind of stuff, but I would say that this is probably a really, really good example that if you believed in this story, you believed in the fundamentals, whatever, whoever the developers are, coming along here and nibbling away for the coming big bull market in 25, 26. That's not a terrible idea. So thank you, Eddie. Always great for you to contribute. Appreciate it. So there's an idea for everybody in the public to chew on. Caveat emptor, of course, we don't have any guarantees of performance here. What we're supposed to do is just simply show you how the process works, how you build trading plans, how you try and operate within those trading plans, and understand that you're never going to be right 100% of the time. So if anything, build into your plan that maybe you buy this and maybe it doesn't work. Well, I should probably stop talking now. All right. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins the race. All the best, and we'll see you all for Coinigy tonight.